All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a fun one today. We're going to do a driving podcast. We're actually heading to Beach Walk by DeVasta Homes down in Inglewood in Florida. So we have some customers who are currently living just north of St. Pete and want to relocate to either the DeVasta community down here, or we're also going to look at Del Webb Sunchase and Del Webb Catalina. But today, podcast, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that's going on with technology in the real estate market, some shocking statistics on first-time home buyers and people living at home, specifically kids living at home with their parents. And so let's get right into it. So I don't know if you guys saw the news, but Google is now going to serve up real estate listings nationwide. So from participating MLSs, Google's regular search, you're going to be able to just type right in that search bar there what you're actually looking for, and Google will actually show you the listings. So no longer do you have to go to Zillow, Realtor.com, or Homes.com to actually look at what homes are available on the MLS. Google is going to directly pull that. They are going to be powered by House Canary, which is their come home portal. That probably doesn't mean much to you. Probably one of those companies Google just bought and now have integrated into their Google ecosystem. What does this mean for buyers? I think this is great for buyers because ease of finding a home that actually fits you is going to be easier than ever before. I think AI is going to now come into play as well with this, where Google's Gemini product, you'll be able to kind of just speak as to what you're looking for. It'll be able to search it for you right on Google and give you some ideas as to what might fit your situation. So definitely good for consumers. I think visibility of all these properties and information is important. I think the gatekeeping by the real estate companies in the last 20 to 30 years has been not a great thing for consumers. So, as a realtor myself, where does that fit in my ecosystem of workflow with my customers? Well, my goal is to always find you the best home that you're looking for. So I think Google making it easier for you guys to search on stuff that might fit you is only going to help our process in finding a home for you. Now, I think there's going to be a swath of people who are saying, now that I have all these tools available, I don't need a realtor. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I think there's a large gap, though, of information that's on the MLS, and then a local realtor can kind of fill that void, or at least a good local realtor can fill that void with a lot of the nuances of what information might not be listed on the MLS. The MLS listing is obviously provided by the listing agent, and a lot of times that listing agent gets information from the actual homeowner themselves. And so obviously all the information on the MLS is going to be putting that property in a good light. So it's important for a realtor to kind of diagnose that property and make sure that everything they say is there is actually there. Coordinating inspections, taking care of the entire process, and also being involved in that negotiation process, I think, is also most important. So I'm happy for my customers that Google is doing this, because I think it's going to shake up the real estate market in a real way. And a lot of these brokers who are trying to take their listings off MLS and make them private and just work on their ecosystem, I think it's a just short-term play, and I think the long-term effects are going to be negative. I think generally the public wants information to be more accessible and easier to find than it is hidden away by some paywall or some website you have to go to a specific broker. So I love what Google is doing here, and I think it's only going to help people find the home that they want more easy. So easier. So I think it's very good for the consumer. Now, let's go into the NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors. They're having a lot of forums right now on issues regarding AI. So, just off the top of my head, I can think of several things that are going on with AI that I feel are very deceptive to the consumer and I think need to be addressed quickly. I think listing agents have become out of control with AI imaging going in on these listing photos. So, I'm not just talking about renderings. I'm not just talking about furnishings or, virtual staging. I'm talking about literally altering the photos of the homes to the point where what you see online is 80 to 50% of what is actually there in person. And it's scary because, people who are looking from out of state and can't go there in person might be buying sight unseen. This is terrifying because essentially, if you're using AI to enhance the house that's listed, I personally believe that's false advertising, and this needs to be addressed quickly. And I know listing agents right now who also don't know how to use AI correctly, don't even realize that some of the images that they're using on these ChatGPTs or Geminis are coming out and completely changing stuff. And I think a lot of that stuff's being missed. I hope it's not being done intentionally to fool the consumer, but I wouldn't put it past some people. So I think it's more important now than ever. That's why I kind of said that local realtor can kind of still fill that gap. I'm going to be able to identify these properties and make sure that the images that I'm seeing are real. And I just think that overall, AI is going to do a lot of good in the real estate world. I think it's going to make it easier for homeowners to purchase their homes, sell their homes. And I think the role of a realtor is going to shift over the next 5 years. And I'm excited for that shift because I want to be a part of that shift. I want to ride the AI shift wave because I do think that is the future. And I think there's room for consumers to possibly save money over time, just given the amount of information AI has. And I think there's going to be a large swath of people who just want to use AI when they list and buy. And I think there's going to be a large swath of people that still want that human interaction and that human element and touch involved in the process. So I think you'll see a divergence of what people are wanting in their real estate experience. Some people don't want to talk to anyone. Some people don't want to talk to AI. So I think there's still going to be a role. There's still going to be realtors, the doomsday AI people, and the ones that think AI is going to fix everything. I think the real world is somewhere in the middle. So we'll see what happens, but look for some regulation on what's going on in the MLS regarding AI soon. This is a crazy statistic. So more young adults are living with their parents than ever before in U.S. history. A record 25.2 million adults under the age of 35 live with their parents. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh my God, those people just don't have jobs, that this new generation doesn't understand hard work. Totally false. 75% of people who are 25 to 34 living at home are full-time employed. That's roughly, I mean, that's just crazy to me. The idea of homeownership has become such a stretch. Of those 70% that are fully employed and living at home, 25 to 34, 90% of them have never been married. So this unaffordability of home ownership and even renting prices has created a cultural shift in what the norms are of people getting married, relationships going to the next stage to having kids. And I think there's further reaching social and financial and economic impacts on this home ownership problem than maybe people are fully understanding. And it makes sense because, if you're living at home, it's probably harder to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and it's probably harder to kind of move that relationship to the next step, which would be marriage and eventually kids. So it's weird seeing the drop in the middle of the lake and the ripple effects that some of these things in the economy can truly change an entire generation and the culture in which they do what used to be American social norms. So 1/3 of all adults under the age of 35 are living with their parents right now. So that's a shocking number to me. I think it's a number that doesn't get talked about enough. I know my channel works a lot with 55 plus buyers, active adults, move up buyers. And the main reason is because those are the only people in the housing market right now. I think the United States has kind of forgotten the 35 and under. Now, I will say, I'm going to get right into the next topic here. People who have money are doing just fine. And there's a rise of multi-million-dollar starter homes across the country. So 242 U.S. cities now have a typical starter home at or above the $1 million mark. Think about that. 242 cities have their starter home at or above $1 million right now. That's crazy. But what does that mean specifically for the Tampa, St. Pete, Parrish, Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch market? It means we're still in play. Obviously, we have options with new construction anywhere from the high 200s, mid 300s, So the idea of home ownership is not dead down here. I think that's why you've seen such a mass migration to Florida, because home ownership is still an option. A lot of times these builders are able to offer incentives to these people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford homes, where they can cover all the closing costs, lower the rate down to 3.875 in an adjustable rate mortgage, or lower it down to 4.99 as a fixed 30-year mortgage. And that allows these people who felt like they were ignored and out of the housing market, and really gives them an opportunity to participate in what used to be an American norm of the dream of home ownership, right? So luckily, Florida is positioned still for first-time home buyers. I think there's options for them, and it's still one of the more affordable places in the United States, given the nice amenities that Florida has too, which is Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, Tampa, St. Pete. There's still stuff to do, right? There's beaches, there's cities, there's restaurants. It's a good place to live. So crazy statistic, but I think these big mega cities are going to be hurting. That pricing is crazy. Over $1 million for your starter home. You put in the comments, have any of you bought a home over $1 million as your first house? I would love to see it. First one to comment, yes, I want to know what you do for work, because I need to switch to your profession. Local news, Ever Creek at Lakewood Ranch. This is Pulte's newest community. It's going to be a 1,000-home community in the southeast part of Lakewood Ranch. It's 500 acres. It's going to be 850 single-family, 150 townhomes. It's off of Bourneside Boulevard, about 1.5 miles north of Fruitville Road in Sarasota. I have a feeling that Pulte might make this an Explore by Del Webb. Explore by Del Webb is the answer to Esplanade non-55 plus communities that are just age targeted. And, you know, the West Florida division of Pulte has an Explore by Del Webb in Parish. Sales are going really well. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of copy and paste and make this Ever Creek into an Explore by Del Webb. We'll see what happens. That's obviously not confirmed. That's just off the top of my head what I think might happen down there. But they already might be too far along to do that. We'll see what happens. But if you guys want information on future upcoming communities in the Lakewood Ranch area, in the Parish, Sarasota, St. Pete Market, sign up for my email newsletter. I don't spam you. I just give useful information. You can unsubscribe at any time, but that'll be a community to keep your eye out on. Interesting enough, Manatee also just rejected an East Bradenton project after a 9-hour debate. So they voted down on a rezone of 56 acres of farmland for 167 single-family homes, citing traffic, drainage, a tall cell tower, and loss of Zipperer Road's rural character and historic oaks. So the adjacent Bus Barn project, which is a Simply Dwell Homes and Anil Communities, aimed for 122 homes, it got a continuance and could proceed scaled down to just 99 homes if it uses it as a single access point. So you're starting to see people, commissioners, see all the growth that's going on, Bradenton Parish and Lakewood Ranch, and they're saying, hold on a second, we do need to preserve a little bit of what made this place so special in the first place. So you guys leave in the comments what your opinions are on all the growth and development happening in Manatee County, and are the commissioners doing enough to make sure that growth is smart, make sure that infrastructure is keeping up, and making sure that these builders are paying their fair share when they're building these communities. I am curious to see what your take is on that. So drop a note in the comments. I want to know, is Manatee County doing enough to make sure that there's smart growth and smart developments, and are they not just allowing every single new home community to just destroy what made Bradenton, Sarasota, Manatee County so great in the first place? You guys let me know on that. Like I said, I keep my opinions out on that stuff, let you guys talk about it. At the end of the day, I'm here to give you the information and hopefully help you make a good or avoid a bad decision when buying a new home. So that's my car pod for the day. Thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to have some more videos and would love to help you out. I worked for the builder for 7 years, 6 of them for Del Webb and Pulte Group, and then 1 year for David Weekly in operations. So I've been on that side. I now work for you guys and can't wait to meet you guys. Scan this if you want to just do a 15-minute buyer strategy call. We can talk about what works for your situation and kind of just better digest of all the options out there, because there's so many options out there, as we know. So I can help you kind of narrow down what you're actually looking for. So have a good day. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, it means a lot to me. And yeah, go enjoy the beautiful sunny day. I'm going to show some homes and make some clients hopefully happy finding their dream home. So all right, thanks guys, signing off.